we're going to start with the Vikings and the Rams. Are the Rams all of a sudden good, and have the Vikings gone, dare I say it, pumpkin mode already? Maybe. 4 touchdowns for Matthew Stafford. You got Puka and Cooper Kupp back. Okay, scarier moving forward, the Rams or the Vikings?
Well, the Rams can win the Super Bowl, and the Vikings cannot. So,
tough one.
The Rams. You know what last night was? Part of the slow, steady vindication of the committee. The committee that refused to bow to the power ranking standing zealot pressure of,
they're undefeated.
Exactly.
They're undefeated.
Exactly. My point exactly.
I'm wondering
and
where
what
the
did that
Rams
buy
were
them?
this week.
Maybe
I'm where were the Rams?
No, the Rams were second lowest tier. The Rams, but 2 weeks ago, the Rams were facing elimination, and now but it's more about where the Vikings weren't, which was never tier 1 or tier 2, and in fact, tiers with names. I went back and looked. Sub Super Bowl ceiling, incredibly fun, not sustainable. That was Minnesota, and and Minnesota also, on a serious note, lost the second best player on their entire team, Christian Darrisaw, for the season. To a knee injury. Huge. We just found out a half hour ago that he's out for the year. Listen, I thought the Rams last year could have won the NFC. They started 3-6, then got red hot, and they played the Lions. They lost by a point to the Lions in round 1. I understand a lot of things would have to happen. My point was, if they can get any semblance of a pass rush, and Jared Verse, who both of us liked, him and his teammate Fisk as their first 2 picks, they can get any semblance of a pass rush. That offense is terrifying when they have all their pieces. And so I'm not trying to, take any, I guess I am a little bit, but I'm not trying to act like the Vikings didn't accomplish anything. But the Vikings also could, in 48 hours, be in last place in their division. It comes at you fast in the NFC North. And so am I certain the Vikings are making the playoffs? I'm not. Yeah. And I'm not certain the Rams are either, to be clear, but they have an easier path to winning that division. The division's wide open, and I think they're a scary team, bro.
Well, first thing, let me say this. I mean, a lot of times when a quarterback loses his stars, people say he's no good if he doesn't produce with them. And last night kind of showed that. Matthew Stafford, without his 2 Avengers,
beat Brock Purdy in the Niners.
In 6 games, had 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Yeah. But it's a season. 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Last night he gets his guys back and looks great. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. So he had more touchdowns in 1 game than he had in the previous 6. So I'm with Nick in that it's the Rams. That offense, as he said, is scary. They put 30 points on what had been looking like one of the better defenses in the NFL. And they're just a totally different team with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And Williams was running the ball pretty well anyway, but it just opens everything up for him. And so last night you saw a team that had been averaging, the Rams, 19 points a game, one of the lowest in the league. And then they just put 30 on the Vikings. Yeah. And so that's one reason they're more dangerous. Also, it seems like, we'll watch it, but have people figured out this vaunted Brian Flores defense that we all were raving about? You got a graphic about it?
Yeah, so here's the graphic. First 5 games felt good. And the last 2 games, you go up against Ben Johnson and Sean McVay. Also, this is not in the graphic, but even the back half of that Packers
I was about to say, the second
half. What's going on? So I don't know if it's figured out or what, but yeah, there's a ceiling. If the defense is not going to be amazing, you're going to get – and Sam Darnold played okay.
Sam Darnold played fine. He wasn't the problem yesterday.
But here's the thing. Darnold is fine, and he's obviously been putting up some good numbers. But look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. Dak. I'm just throwing the playoff teams out there. Dak, Jalen Hurts, the 2 rookies, Daniels and Caleb, Brock Purdy, Stafford, all the ones in his division, Goff, Jordan Love. Like, who are you taking him over? Just when you look at these teams, you're going to say the other team has an advantage at quarterback.
For all of them.
And if they figured out the defense, and then, like Nick said, just the division of Vikings, there's a very good chance they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and
a very good chance.
Just quickly for the Rams, next 5, Seattle, huge game to lead the division. Home for Miami, at New England, and then home for Philly at New Orleans. Like, to me, that's got 4-1 written all over it, and all of a sudden they're sitting at 7-5, first place in the NFC West. You know what? With the host en route to hosting a playoff game, I just don't think that's what's in the cards for Minnesota.
Let's look at the controversial end of the game. About 1:40 to go, 2nd and 10. Vikings backed up, and Sam Darnold is twisted down. It's unreviewable play, Brew. Referee Trey Blake saying they did discuss it, but, quote, we weren't able to see it on the field, so we weren't able to make the call. Your reaction?
Well, I was watching this live, and I didn't see him actually grabbing the face mask, but by the way Darnold reacted, you could see something, like the way he went down.
And the way Young reacted,
like
I just made a huge mistake.
We got look at it. We got it on video.
That off. Yeah.
I mean, he knew. Oh my God, what have I done? Like, so there you go. And the ref should have just looked at that and said, you know. But you know what? And I get, look, he couldn't see it.
He tweeted, "It was so loud after my sack, I had to cover my ears." But that's obviously not what happened. But go ahead.
I mean, the ref could not. He's right, and he said after the game he couldn't see it. But that's where, again, maybe just because of the reaction to Darnold, you throw the flag just so you can review it. Because if you throw it on a call passer or call face mask, then you could review it and take it, you know, oh, no, it wasn't a face mask, if that was the case. But look, I think, Nick, they got to make that reviewable. And I don't know if I get that they don't want to expand it too much. Maybe it's like within the last 2 minutes, things are reviewable, because that now there's
that.
not
like an NBA rule.
I don't think Sam Darnold was going to march them down the field, although there was a slight part of me that felt maybe Justin Jefferson will make some magic and take a short pass and go.
Exactly like that.
And
just
so
throw it in Justin
it was
Jefferson's
possible.
direction.
It was
but
possible.
I didn't think it was going to happen, but it was possible.
But just, all right, very quickly, 2 things. One is amazing. Another game with some shaky officiating at the end that didn't involve the Chiefs. But we're talking about it because it's a standalone island game. Just like the last time the Vikings were in one of these Vikings-Jets, everyone hated the officials. It's not some league-wide conspiracy. Refs just miss calls. But where's the camera? Right here? Do not add anything to the purview of instant replay. Because what you guys are arguing for is to add uncalled penalties, which makes every single game controversial.
Or allow them to challenge that.
Again,
you're challenging nothing.
There was a.
Right.
It just should be something.
Okay, but
I'm not saying
listen, man. Sometimes there's blown calls.
Player safety.
Sometimes there's blown calls, and if you add to the purview things unchallenged, uncalled penalties you can challenge, then every big play in a key moment late in the game, coach is going to throw his challenge flag and say, guys upstairs, find the missed hold. Find the guard that did something. Find the brief hands to the face. It will be bad for the sport.
But you can make it, again, whether you say that's a player safety issue with the face mask. So maybe you just make face mask. And again, it's a regular season game, and you're absolutely right. Mistakes happen. It just felt so egregious because it was blatantly obvious.
If I was a lawyer, I would call it a scoring play, since it was a safety. Scoring play.
They already reviewed touchdowns.
But even with scoring plays, you can't. Uncalled penalties is not something that gets reviewed under any circumstance.
That's why I said he should.
Yeah.
Maybe, just a different colored
flag.
Okay,
the way he reacted, throw the flag.
Just a new flag.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Replay's
bad for
you
sports,
could just have thrown
except
the flag.
for tennis.
No, it's actually bad for tennis.
It's actually great for tennis.
No,
we're not arguing about tennis right now.
Not enough arguing in tennis. You need more arguing in tennis.
Right.
Everyone's like, was it out? Like, yeah. And all the personalities out.
Yeah.
Less replay in tennis.
We just talked tennis, which means to pay back the network, the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys at 49ers this weekend. San Francisco growing as a favorite after they heard our takes. This line now at 4.5. Cowboys off a bye. Brew, who you got in this one?
Nick thought he was slick on the morning call.
What do
he
you
said
mean?
he predicted, Brew's going to take the Cowboys. He's been hinting at it all week. That's what he said. And I will be honest in that I have thought about that.
Really?
They're coming off a bye. San Francisco is banged up. Obviously, the Cowboys are too, but so are the Niners. And the Cowboys are desperate. However, the Niners are even more desperate. I'm going with San Francisco. I can't, Nick, unsee down 28-6 to the Ravens. 47-9 to the Lions. I can't unsee that, all right? And I get that those teams right now are playing far better than San Francisco. But still, going into each of those games, it was like the Cowboys got to prove something or they're desperate. Like, it's a huge game. They got to show up. Like, they weren't obviously quite as desperate as now just because we're a little later in the season. But those were huge games where it was like they got to show up. And they didn't. And even, you know who's more desperate than Dallas, Nick? The Niners. They'll drop to 3-5. We've talked about their schedule all week. It's going to be hellacious. And so they need a win. And then on top of that, strategically, the Cowboys just have trouble stopping the run, particularly against teams that can really run. And San Francisco's a top 10, top 5 run team, and Dallas is a bottom 5 run defense team. So I think Jordan Mason has a big game. They are able to run the ball, and then that opens up the play action for Purdy, and the Niners win. What will probably be a good game, but I think the Niners win.
I thought there was a chance Brew would pick the Cowboys, but more what I thought was all week, Brew was really trying to prime the audience. Like, hey, man, the Niners are in so banged up and in such rough shape that, you know, if they lose, you can't blame anyone in these spots. Sometimes the team, like, it really felt like it was pre-excuses for the San Francisco 49ers. Here's what I'll tell you. If Micah plays, I think the Cowboys win, but I don't think Micah's going to play.
No, there was a video of him walking okay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been ruled out. The Cowboys, so Micah's their best player. Their second best player also hasn't practiced this week, but that's because he's at jury duty, and I got to tell you, I don't like it.
He's just a kicker.
Weirdest story.
I understand he's just the kicker. It doesn't, to me, bode well for a lot of things. Like, and I understand do your civic duty. I get that. I understand this is probably a maybe illegal take, but certainly an unpopular one. I feel like that's not great, and I do worry about Nicky Bosa against the Cowboys rookie left tackle if they line him up over there. I know he normally lines up on the other side, but if they move him around. And the other thing is this. I don't know how much it applies to the Cowboys in this spot because they had the bye, but every single team that has played the Lions has lost their next game. The Lions, and that continued last night. When you played the Lions beat you twice really this year. Now the Cowboys had a bye week, so how much is that going to impact it? So all these things say the Niners win the football game. What Wiles?
I didn't hear one thing. I believe in Brock Purdy.
I didn't hear that from him.
You must believe in Brock Purdy.
Why?
You picking them to beat Dallas. Dallas coming off a bye week in a desperate situation.
And you believe in Brock Purdy.
Dak's got the best receiver out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not Dak,
what does
not
that
Brock.
do with Brock Purdy? What are you guys talking about?
Believe in him.
Brew,
I'm just saying you believe in him. He's the quarterback of the team. You believe in him.
Can I say something real quick?
If you picked it up,
that's not at all how this works. I don't pick the Niners to lose every game they play, first of all. Second of all, Brew gave the keys to the game. Didn't mention Purdy's name a mumbling once.
No, I did. I said the play's going to open up play action for Brock to cook.
Yeah, well, I don't think Brock's going to cook. I think this will be more what Brew said, the running game being able to cook. And I think Cowboys defense was mediocre to begin with, and at this point is so banged up, I just don't know how they're going to be able to stop the Niners on the ground.
Just as far as bye weeks go,
this was not a restful one.
It wasn't, and we didn't pull this out.
Yeah.
But both CD and Dak were asked about the tours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry's
we got some.
No, I didn't. I didn't even pull it. I was just chatting about it. Yeah. But I feel like if after getting humiliated last year and they've lost 2 in a row to Brock, this is going to be a bad loss for the Cowboys. It's going to be a demoralizing loss. Every loss feels bad. I know we say that because we magnify the Cowboys. But every loss has been bad.
No, whoever loses this game is going to have rightful panic.
Yeah.
Because I know we're all,
that's true.
Vegas is picking the Niners. We're all picking the Niners, it seems like. But if the Cowboys win, the Niners are in potential season from hell, Super Bowl hangover. Wait, is this window
Closed.
Closing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, but
Closed.
Brandon Ayuk done for the year. People don't, like, they were talking when they re-signed Debo, or when they re-signed Ayuk, that Debo could be the one traded in the offseason. Like, you know, Trent Williams, 35 years old, like all this stuff. Could their season be wrecked before Christian McCaffrey plays it down? If they lose this week, the answer is yes. And so, again, I don't think they're going to lose. And then for the Cowboys, just more of the same tumult that they've been dealing with the last few weeks after being embarrassed.
All right, quickly before we go, Eagles headed into Cincinnati Sunday at 1 o'clock. Eagles coming off a big win against the Giants. Joe Burrow all of a sudden looking at getting to 500. Brew, who do you trust more here, Philly or Cincy?
Well, this is interesting. The question, who do you trust more? I'm taking Philly in this game. All right, I know it's going to be a good game, but I like their defense better. Cincinnati's defense obviously hasn't played that well. And I think, Phil, look, it was only one game. It was only against the Giants, but they blasted the Giants. I think the vibes are getting a lot better there. I think they figured something out with Saquon kind of being, okay, let's go through Saquon, and we got the big plays with A.J. Brown. I think they lead the league in big plays, you know, the downfield plays. So they're coming together a little bit. Who I trust more as like a team, both of them are obviously up and down, Jekyll and Hyde, but because of Burrow, I would say I trust Cincinnati more. But in this game, I'm taking Philly.
So to me, it's not I trust Cincinnati more, and I think Cincinnati's going to win. And I think that these two teams are actually quite similar in that they have star wide receivers, probably the best pair of wide receivers of any team in the league outside of Miami. Should be noted, T. Higgins, you guys know I have to peruse all the late-breaking injury and weather reports before Nick's picks come in. I was thinking about this. T. Higgins showed up on the injury report an hour ago with a quad contusion, and he's listed as questionable for the game. I'm just saying questionable for the game. The Bengals offense does not cook the way it does without both those guys out there.
Yeah, would have thought.
And so,
he needs some Avengers.
And so I don't trust Philly's secondary at all against Cincinnati.
They've been pretty good against the passes.
I know that's what the numbers say. I don't trust them.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't trust the numbers. But I don't think you.
That was a big problem last year for sure.
The numbers do look better than.
Awesome, but I think they've gotten better.
I agree with you. I think Fangio has helped. I think they've gotten a little bit better. I don't think I think the numbers say they're like top 10 in a bunch of categories. Yeah. That to me, it doesn't pass my eye test, so to speak. I think they are a great, pass defense. But Philly has the better running back. But Cincinnati has, in my opinion, the far better quarterback and the better coach. So they're the more trustworthy team. Like both defenses have questions. Both have star guys on offense. But the Bengals have clearly the better quarterback, and I think clearly the better coach.
This will be interesting.
Interesting. Both coaches.
But Burrow's Burrow's great when they lose, and okay when they win. It's an odd mix.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.